Welcome back to Reviews and Rankings with Robby Sobel. I'm here with my co-host, Little Robby.
Hey.
And we are back with yet another installment of our retro movie review and trailer reaction series. Today we're going to look at Night of the Living Dead. First, the original from 1968, written and directed by George Romero. And then the 1990 remake that was directed by Tom Savini, who over the decades and all the years worked with George Romero in many of his movies, primarily taking care of the special effects, but also acting in several of the films as well.
Okay.
Now, you've never seen these movies.
No.
But you've heard a lot about them.
A lot, yes. Posters over here and everything.
VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, art books, comic books, novels, posters, you name it. I actually had the privilege of meeting George Romero a couple of years ago, which was an absolute honor and a privilege. I met him about 2 years before he passed, and that was it was just so great. I was able to get in line. There was only one person ahead of me. I got there very early. I was able to chat with him for at least a good 5 minutes, which, when you meet a celebrity, that's a decent amount of time just to have one-on-one time with them. Mm-hmm. So that was great. And then about a year and a half ago, I got to meet Marilyn Eastman. See, Marilyn Eastman was one of the stars of Night of the Living Dead. Her and her husband co-starred in the film, and they played husband and wife, actually.
There you go.
In addition to that, they worked together to help fund the movie. So basically what happened was in the mid-1960s, George Romero at that time was just kind of working locally, taking care of commercials and doing small little filming projects. He actually worked part-time on a Mr. Rogers show, which is weird. Like the guy who created the zombie genre essentially worked for Mr. Rogers. I believe the episode was Mr. Rogers gets I can't pronounce the word, but he gets his tonsils out. Tonsillectomy. Whatever it is. Anyway, so they all came together, him and about 10 friends. They chipped in like $600, and they got enough startup money to film Night of the Living Dead at a farmhouse on the weekends. Now you got to remember, like when they're casting this movie just based on who's the best for the part. They weren't thinking anything else otherwise. So the lead character is named Ben. In the script, he was just kind of nondescript, but Romero thought of him just as like a white dude. Mm-hmm. But the guy who read best for the part was a black man named Dwayne Jones. Now you got to remember, in 1968, there wasn't a lot of African American folks dominating the screens. And if they were written specifically for being like a black character. Yeah. Very like typecast. Mm-hmm. So this movie coming out with a black man as the lead was a really big deal.
Yeah.
And just one more footnote on that. When the film was complete, George Romero got in his car with another producer of his, a friend of his named Russ Striner, who was a zombie in the film. They literally took the film print and they put it in the trunk of their car, and they drove from Pittsburgh, where the movie was shot, to New York City just to see if any company would want to buy it so they can show it and make a couple of bucks. During the drive, they heard on the radio that Martin Luther King had been shot and killed.
Oh my.
So now, the thought process is this movie might not just be another movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things that go into the film, especially because of the time that it was written and whatnot. So on top of being this landmark horror movie where zombies are really first seen, prior to this, the only time you would see kind of zombie-like characters, they were not undead. They were more, victims of voodoo or in a trance or something like that. This is the first time, really, that you saw the undead coming back as what we would look at as zombies. They were actually called ghouls in the movie. So it's obviously a lot different than what you see now. You have to remember the time frame that it took place in 1968. But it's a very important film, and it kind of laid the groundwork for everything that would come after it. And it's been now, over 50 years. Yeah. So this is it, the trailer for the original George Romero classic, Night of the Living Dead.
This is the latest disclosure in a report from National Civil Defense Headquarters in Washington. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder.
I know you're afraid. I'm afraid too. But we have to try to board the house up together.
That's my point. Well, there's not going to be 5 or even 10. There's going to be 20, 30, maybe 100 of those things. And as soon as they know we're here, this place is going to be crawling with them.
This isn't a passing thing, honey. It's not like just a wind passing through. We've got to do something, and fast.
Are they slow moving, Chief? Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
Zombified now. All right, buddy. That's your first little look into Night of the Living Dead. First thoughts.
Okay, so just a quick reminder. What year did this one come out?
68.
Oh, okay. So that's pretty good, for sure. It actually looked pretty interesting. Yeah, I'd never actually seen anything, to be honest. As much as, like, we talked about the movie, like, we didn't talk about, like, the theme, really, of it.
Yeah.
All I knew was the zombies. That was all I knew about it. It looks really interesting, for sure.
Have you ever watched the black and white movie?
I mean, I have, yeah.
Okay. So, did this look like a movie you'd be interested in seeing?
Yeah.
All right. So, thumbs up. If anybody is interested in seeing Night of the Living Dead, because of an issue with the copyright, George Romero and his team didn't properly copyright it, so they couldn't make the money that they should have. So it is now in public domain, which means you can go on YouTube or any other type of streaming site like that and just type in Night of the Living Dead, and you could legally watch it, and it's yours. So there you go. But let's fast forward a bit. 22 years here into 1990. George Romero wrote the script and he changed up certain aspects of the film. See, in the original, the main difference is that Barbara, as our kind of lead heroine here, is very frail, very scared, almost comatose. And Romero apologized so often for that he wrote her as such a weak character. In all of his movies kind of moving forward, women become stronger and stronger and stronger. So when he wrote the script for the remake of the Night of the Living Dead, he wrote the character of Barbara like 100 times stronger, and I think that's one of the better things about the remake.
Okay.
So here we go, Night of the Living Dead, 1990. We're going to take a look here. Are you ready, son?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me cue this up here. There you go.
They came to pay their respects.
Coming to get you, Barbara.
Why do you have to be so cruel?
What?
Show some respect.
Now they're running for their lives.
A biologist in Stockton, California have released reports focusing on the phenomenon, specifically on that trance-like state.
Every shelter is becoming a trap.
Are you sure we're gonna be all right?
Cooper, you gotta help me out!
And every road out
Don't stop no matter what happens.
is just another dead end.
They're coming right for us!
George Romero's Night of the Living Dead.
Boom, a little more fast-paced on that one?
Definitely.
What do you
It
think?
was a shorter trailer, but that was quick.
Yeah. For me, usually when it comes to remakes, I kind of have this unwritten rule that if you're going to remake a movie, don't remake it beat for beat. Kind of take the core of the story, even if you take some similar characters, but you have to change enough to make it worthwhile. Because if you're just going to do the exact same thing, you might as well just watch the original, because 9 times out of 10 it's going to be better the first time around. This made, in my eyes, enough changes to warrant the making of the film. Some people disagree and think it's too similar. I think it's just enough that changed, and then the performances across the board are fantastic. This time, the character of Ben is played by Tony Todd. Horror fans would know him as Candyman, among many other things. He does a great job in this. Tom Savini does a solid job directing. I know for a very long time, Tom Savini was not happy with this. He wasn't in the best place when he was directing this. I believe he was going through a divorce, which is not a happy thing. But, years later, he's able to kind of look back and see that he did quality work, and he should be proud of it. Yeah. So check out the remake of Night of the Living Dead. Check out the original, and let us know what you think of both movies or one of them in the comments below. If you like the video, hit like. If you love it, hit subscribe. And you can visit me at Instagram at Robby_upgrade. So let's keep watching movies, and thanks for checking out the channel.